Today's lesson is 3.1. So we are going to be starting a new module about dividing fractions. So today we just want to understand, what does it mean to divide fractions? How do we set up the problems? So we are going to be dividing fractions with like denominators, with and without models today. So we'll be drawing some pictures and also just doing the math. So if you have not done your Spark already, go ahead and pause and go do the Spark and then come back. So this Spark says that Jason is making sushi rolls. He has 5/6 cup of rice, and he is going to use 2/6 of a cup for each sushi roll. How many whole sushi rolls can he make? So we're going to model this situation here. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my 5/6 cup of rice here. So here is 1/6, 2/6. Let me get this out of the way. 3, 4, 5, and I do need to get that 6th piece here. So I'm going to mark the ones that I have. So I have 5/6 of a cup of rice. So I'm showing what I have. And I want to make 2/6 for each sushi roll. So I'm going to get another color here, and I'm going to say 1/6 and 1/6 is 2/6. That's one sushi roll. And here's 1/6 and 1/6 is two sushi rolls. Whoa. Here's only 1/6. There's one here, but I don't have rice in this 6th. So I don't have enough for another full sushi rolls, and ask me how many whole entire sushi rolls I can make. So my answer would be 2 whole sushi rolls. Guys, I don't know why that's so hard to say. You tried. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. So now we're going to explain how we thought about this problem. So be sure to type out your thoughts. So mine might say something like, I started with a whole entire cup of rice, 6 out of 6, but I shaded in the part I had, which was 5/6, and then I grouped them together, 1/6 and 1/6 to make 2/6. So be sure to explain how you solved that problem there. So we know he can make 2 whole sushi rolls. That's a real tongue twister for me. I'm glad this problem's almost over. And how many sushi rolls can Jason make if he uses up all of the rice he had? So I'm going to come back up here and look at this picture. So I know if he uses this, there's 1 sushi roll. Here's 2 sushi rolls. And I know he needs 2 pieces to make 1, but he has 1 out of 2, which is 2 1/2 sushi rolls. Okay, make sure on these models that when you see these save buttons that you're pressing save for me so I can see your work, okay? So 2 1/2 is what I think he could make if he used all of the rice. To task 1 now. So task 1 is making these egg rolls. So we're all going to be really hungry today. So I don't want any sushi. So 2/5 pounds of chicken per batch. So Malik is making egg rolls to share with Jason. Malik has 4/5 pounds of chicken and will use the amount shown per batch. How many batches of egg rolls can Malik make? So I want to go and talk about something really fast. So let's talk about what it means to divide with fractions. So when we are dividing, the total that we have is our dividend. So our total is our dividend. That's what we have. That's the number. I always like to think of that division box as like a den. It goes inside the den. And when I write out an expression, it's the first number that we read. The divisor is how many I'm putting into the group, what we're dividing by. So if I did 49 divided by 7, 49 is the total what I have. And I said it first, 49 divided by 7 is what I want in every group. So your teacher has 7/9 of a pan of brownies left. So this is what I have. This is my total. And I want to put them into groups of a third on each plate. How many plates can I fill? So I want you to stop and think if you can figure out what is the dividend. So which one's the total? Which one's my divisor? So if I were writing out this problem, I would say something like 7/9 divided by 1/3. This is my total. This is what I have. This is what I want it in groups of. And it's important that you put the total first. So when we multiply, we can use the commutative property to flip things around. 3 times 4 is 12, and 4 groups of 3 is 12, and they'll equal the same thing. When we are dividing, though, that is not the case. You've got to put the total first, and it's not always the bigger one. This is what I have. This is what I want to put it into. So let's go ahead and try task 1 here. So we've got our egg rolls. We have 4/5 pounds of chicken, and we'll use the amount shown per batch. So this is what I have. This is what I want to divide it by. So go ahead and see if you can find the expression that would show how you would set up that problem. Hey, then we're going to explain how we would use a model to find how many groups of 2/5 are in 4/5. So we make our whole thing. So if I was making the entire thing, that would be 5/5. So I would want 5 equal bars, but I only have 4 of them. And then I'm putting them into groups of 2. So we're going to make a model to do that. So be sure to do this with me. So we want to start with our bar that we're cutting into fifths. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's my 5th one. And I'm going to shade in. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. And then I'm going to grab a different color here because we want them in groups of 2. And I'm going to say that these 2 go together and these 2 go together. So I can see that 4/5 divided by 2/5 equals 2. So you might be looking at these numbers and noticing that these aren't quite matching up. So we're going to be looking at those the next few days and looking at how this problem equals this. So today we can prove it with a picture, and then we'll get into the mathematical number side of it in a few days. So when you're drawing these pictures and you see a save button, go ahead and press that save so we can save that work so that I can see it and know if I need to help you at all. So then go ahead and answer using your picture how many groups of egg rolls he can make. Hey, task 2. So now we've got 3/4 pounds of chicken. So this is what we have. And we're going to put them into groups of 3/8 to make a batch. Well, this is what we have. This is what we need. So how many batches of egg rolls can we make? So I want to start and draw that 3/4 here. We're going to start with what we know he has, which is 3/4 of a pound of chicken. So we're going to draw our chicken here. I don't know what kind of chicken comes in a rectangle, but that's okay. So here's our chicken. You could even, give it a little beak here and some legs. Here's my chicken, okay? There we go. So I know that I have 1/4, 2/4, 3/4 is what he has. So would we be able to make groups of 3/8 from what I drew? I know that each of these are a fourth, and I don't have 8s on here. So you might have drawn something different than me and thought about the problem in a different way. So I cannot make groups of 8s because I have groups of fourths. So you can decide if your picture would help you cut it into 8s or not. So what could I use? So I know I'm going to come back up here and just do a little writing. I know I have groups of 3/8, and my other fraction was working in fourths. So I think I need to make a common denominator. If I list out multiples of 4, I know they both go into 8. So I want to use 8s to make those groups of 3/8. So now I'm going to draw my 8s bar here to help me out. So here I'm going to cut it in half and then in 2/4, and then I'm going to cut each of my fourths in half, which makes 8 pieces because half of a fourth is an eighth. So now I have 1/8 here. Here's 2/8, 3/8, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8/8. So I'm going to come back up and read my problem. So we are putting groups of 3/8 together. So I'm going to grab a different color here. And I know I need 1, 2, 3/8 here. And I need 3/8 here. And this one doesn't quite have enough. It would need one more piece. Let's think about our fourths here. 1/8 plus 1/8. Let's think. So my denominators are the same. 1 plus 1 is 2. Denominator stays the same. So let's simplify this. Divide them both by 2. 2 divided by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So every time I have 2/8, that equals a fourth. So, and I had 3/4. So here's 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. So I didn't even have these ones, so I couldn't possibly use those. So it looks like I can come up with 1, 2 groups when I have 3/4 and I cut them into groups of 3/8. So we can have 2 groups and make 2 batches here. Hey, let's try task 3. So we've got Suyin is making a doghouse, and she needs to cut a board that is 5/9 yards long into smaller pieces. So this is what she has, and she wants to cut it into groups of 2/9. So go ahead and see if you can match what we have here. This is what she has. This is what she wants to have groups of, is 2/9. And then we're going to write what is the expression. So remember, the one we have is our first number, the dividend. That goes in the front. What we want to put it into groups of is what we divide by and should be in the back. Hey, we're going to complete the bar model to represent this problem here. So we know we have 5/9. So I am going to, hey, we know we have 5/9 of her board. So she has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those pieces. And I know that she's cutting them into groups of 2/9. So 1 2/9. There's another group. But it looks like if she tried to make another group, that these ones she would not have enough of. So she can make one whole group, two whole groups, and a half of another group. So now you're going to explain to me how this picture up here represents the answer of 2.5. So let's explain how the picture represents what we did. Okay, and then go ahead and answer what is the number of pieces that are 2/9 long that she can cut. Did she use up all the wood? Because it wants to know how many whole pieces she has. So this 2.5 here, she can't actually use that. She doesn't have enough for her project. So how many whole things did she make? Did she have any left over? And then tell me, with that leftover piece, what fraction of another piece can Suyin make with what is left over? So tell me how much she has left over. Okay, task 4 today, last one. So we have this road that is 9/10 of a mile long. So that's our total. The whole road is 9/10 long. So consider 9/10 is the whole entire thing, and we're dividing it by groups of 2/10. So using that information, let's complete a story problem here. So if they planted a tree look up at the picture and see how far apart the trees are, mile along from the beginning of the road and every 2/10 of a mile thereafter. The road is, so tell me how long the total road is. How many trees does the town plant? We're trying to figure out how they have their whole road and they plant trees in every so often. How many trees will there be? So which statement best describes how to find the quotient? Quotients are the answer to a division problem. Look at our answer here, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Well, we don't have 10 things, so I can only make 4 groups. And 2 times 4 is 8. So then I know I've got 1 out of 2 left over. So 9 can be divided into 4 groups of 2/10 with no remainder. Oh, we know we have 1 left over. So we know it's not this first one. Okay, we know 9/10 can be divided into 4 groups of 2/10. So we know that. With a remainder left over, 1 more piece. So our quotient is 4.5. Because every 2/10 makes it a whole thing. So if you only have 1/10, we know that's half of the distance. So 9/10 can be divided. So that one sounds good. Let's just double check ourselves. 9/10 can be divided into 4 groups of 2/10 with no remainder. Well, we know it has a remainder, so that one's not true. 9/10 can be divided into 4 groups of 2/10 with 1/10 left over. The quotient is 4.5. So we have 2 answers here that are giving us 4 groups of 2/10 with 1/10 left over. The answer to a division problem, the quotient is 4.5. So looking here, they are the same until I get to with a remainder, and this one just says left over. Which one is the better math vocabulary word? This one right here is a better sentence for a mathematician to use. Using those correct words will help people know what you're talking about. Hey, recall that the dividend is the number to be divided in the division problem. That's what we have, the total. The divisor is the number we're dividing by. So complete each statement to show which is the divisor and which is the dividend. So remember, the road is what we have, the total. So decide which one that is. And we're cutting it into groups of 2/10. So decide which one that is. Okay, last problem. Select the best statement to compare the value of the quotient to the answer to the problem. So the quotient is 4.5. which we know is true. So the quotient is 4.5. The quotient is 4.5. So let's think about, we got to look at the rest of these, which means that the town will plant 4.5 trees along the road. I don't know about you guys, but have you ever planted half of a tree? Probably doesn't have a very good chance of surviving. I don't know if we can plant half of a tree. The quotient is 4.5, which means the town will plant 4 trees because you can't plant half a tree. Well, that sounds like what we were just talking about. Let's read this last one just to double check. Sometimes we get to a better answer. The quotient is 4.5, which means the town will plant 5 trees. They didn't have room for 5 trees, so they can't plant 5 trees and follow their pattern. So it sounds like this answer here is the best. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and complete your tasks. Make sure you click I'm done when you finish and then do your check for understanding. Let me know if I can help you guys at all.